What is going on, guys? It's PJ, and welcome back to the Nintendo Tonight podcast, joined, as always, with Thompson Mac. And yes, folks, it is the Pokemon episode. Once again, we're back. I actually lied last episode. I said it was going to be 2 away, but because Nintendo dropped this weird partner showcase, which we'll get into later, kind of abruptly, and that ruined our plans a little bit. But anyway, so today we're going to be talking about that Pokemon Presents that, obviously, I just brought up. Cool new games shown off. Couple of them that are worth noting, and obviously talk about the partner showcase as well. What does that mean for the Switch 2? We'll get into it, and then also we got a couple fan questions to end off the episode. So we are in for a good time. At least I am. Maybe you guys aren't, but you know we're dealing with it.
I'm excited.
It's like once a year. So
I can dabble with some Pokemon today.
I'm excited for this. I
want to give this to you guys first, dude. Like, what did you guys think?
It's weird.
Pokemon Legends Z-A. As we're looking
at
it.
Is it Z-A or is it Z-A?
Or
is it Z-A? What is it?
Pokemon Zaza.
Pokemon Zaza, dude.
Yeah. Pokemon Z-A. I think that's what it is.
Z-A. I hate that name, but it
makes sense.
I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if this is like this is not gameplay. It's just like an animation.
No,
right?
no, not gameplay.
Yeah. It looks neat. I'm excited. I'm glad. I think the main thing we're all very excited about is that it's coming out next year, and it's not like a quick turnaround. It seems like they're gonna work on this one and make it polished. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Looks fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm excited for just a year of no Pokemon DLC or new games. We haven't had one of those in a while. It feels like. So it's gonna be nice. And then also just so many weird questions. Like, this announcement was very weird. We'll get into the Switch 2 stuff in a minute because, like, is this game launching on Switch 2? Like, we think Switch 2 is coming out 2025. Is this a launch title? A lot of people thought that. I don't know. Interesting thing to talk about because you would think a launch title is supposed to be a graphical powerhouse, and we haven't seen any screenshots of this game,
man.
But I would assume it's not. But
you never know.
Regardless, like, I mean, maybe that one extra year is all they needed to make this 4K ray-traced Z-A
They saw
master.
Pal World and like we need to get to it. They're coming.
Yeah, you think?
How funny would that be?
We're like, all right, we're
They just threw this
start.
animation up in like a month to get ready for Pokemon Presents to be like, yeah, we're gonna pass Pal World here.
Yeah,
I would be a fan. We can also talk about the fact that Mega Evolutions are coming back. That's sick. That's gonna be cool because I never played Pokemon X or Y, but I played the hell out of Alpha Sapphire, which was also Gen 6 and had Mega Evolutions, and that game was sick. So I'm a Mega Evolutions fanboy. But honestly, I think arguably the coolest part about this to me is it just shows that the Legends subtitle is like an actual thing. Like, we didn't know guaranteed that they were going to make more Pokemon Legends blanks. Like, we didn't know.
Yeah.
Obviously Legends Arceus did really well, but it's a Pokemon game. It always does really well. It didn't do as well as like Scarlet or Violet or something. So maybe they, in their mind, it's just like, okay, we did one. It was kind of fun for the Gen 4 remakes, but let's do something else. But no, this is clearly a new, like, an entire new franchise. Not franchise because it's still within Pokemon.
It's a new series within the Pokemon series. It's pretty
exactly.
It's neat.
It's unique. We've never seen anything like this. I believe. Like, the closest I guess you could say would be the the home console games.
Yeah.
PJ, like the ones on the GameCube. I forget what they're called.
Coliseum and XD Gale Darkness,
Yeah.
What I think is cool about the Legend series, in my opinion, is that they're able to make new creative games that are like built around the game, but they don't have to, add 150 new Pokemon every single time.
Yep.
They can focus to what they've already built and refine that into something that like is pretty cool from what we saw in Legends Arceus.
Yeah.
Or Arceus, sorry.
Yeah.
I remember the comments.
Is it Arceus or Arceus?
It's technically Arceus. It's technically Arceus, but like as a kid, I always called it Arceus. But like a bunch of people from the UK commented
I thought it started
on
as Arceus, and then it changed to Arceus because people were making fun of how it sounded like Arse.
Yeah. Well, I remember when we originally talked about like Legends Arceus, Mac. I think it was the episode Thomas wasn't there. We got a bunch of comments from like people from the UK and stuff like that saying like, why are you saying it like Arceus? Like, this is literally like arse in my country. It sounds so goofy. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but I remember seeing a few of those.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, well, Legends Arceus, whatever.
Sure.
Wait, what? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I think the fact that they're doing more Legends games is really cool. I think it's not gonna like save Pokemon. Like we don't know. It's not the fact that they're just making other Legends games doesn't mean like, oh, Game Freak is so back. But it's a step in the right direction. It shows that they kind of want to branch out, try new things. Like, hey, if the Pokemon Legends series like does a ton of different innovations like Arceus and just kind of like it turns it like modernizes Pokemon, and then they keep the classic formula for like Gen 9, Gen 10, Gen 11, and so on and so forth. Like, hey, even if the mainline like Scarlet and Violet games are still buggy, broken messes, and like they do some cool stuff there, but it's overall not super high quality. As long as like if the Legends games are good, like Legends Arceus was a great first step, I think, for that sub series.
Totally.
It's funny. It almost feels like a branch off like how like Mario branched into 3D and 2D, but instead here it's like you got the Legends branch and then the mainline branch. And like Legends is kind of like in that weird spin-off mainline kind of gray area, but like is still like is basically the innovating driver, while the mainline games is like creating new Pokemon, creating more lore and all that stuff.
Yeah, the mainline games at this point, like I could totally see Game Freak go down a path where the mainline games, like whatever the sequels to Scarlet and Violet are, and like Gen 10, those games are pretty much, it's gonna sound bad, but solely made for merchandise to make new cute Pokemon designs they can slap on shirts and sell plushies of, and a bunch of stuff for the anime, and just kind of like, because Pokemon's huge, like the game syndicates into so much different stuff, whether it's merch, anime, trading cards, whatever. And then from like a pure gamer, like I want to play a fun game perspective, Legends kind of takes over, because they're able to put more development time into the actual mechanics and all that, and not have to just design and work on different Pokemon and trainers and like the lore aspect as much. That would be really cool. Yeah, that would be a really cool way to fix, is a crazy word to throw out because it's still the highest grossing media franchise ever, but like a cool way to have the games be a bit higher quality, I'd say. I guess one other thing we could talk about, PJ, you probably know this more than I do, but this is not what was expected. A lot of people thought it was going to be Unova, which is Gen 5. This is Kalos, or well, specifically it's Lumos City.
Lumio City,
Lumio City, which we could talk about this too in a minute, but apparently Nintendo tweeted out that the entire game takes place within the city. So maybe it's just one big city and you like try and build it as you go throughout your adventure, and maybe it starts like a barren wasteland, then you could build it up to how it is seen in X and Y, or maybe even past that, like into the future, because we got a bunch of futuristic graphics for this teaser trailer. It is weird though that they skipped over Gen 5, right? Or do you think we're gonna get Gen 5 like Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl style chibi remakes, maybe by Ilka later on?
Yeah, it's kind of weird at the moment. It's definitely like a little confusing because back when X and Y came out, everybody kind of wanted or expected Pokemon Z, and then that just kind of like never came out. And then X and Y was kind of like short development time, and that's why people think that post game kind of sucks a little bit of that game. So coming all together, like I guess this is literally like 12 years later post like X and Y release. It kind of makes sense that they're gonna be closing this story of Kalos and stuff like that now, but just generally it doesn't really make sense for sure, because if we look at the pattern over the years, it's like everybody was expecting either like a Let's Go game with all of like the unknown drops in the Pokemon Presents first of all, and then just generally,
I thought for sure it was going to be Let's Go Johto.
Me too.
From the moment it started. Yeah.
And like the second when they cut away and it was like one more announcement or whatever, when a bunch of the unknown was showing up, I was like, oh my God, Let's Go Johto, man. Come on. No way. And it's like, I was like, wait, this is Kalos.
Do you think they were teasing us? Do you think they were like baiting us a bit?
I don't know. Maybe unknown has something to do with the game though, because we look at like the logo Z-A or whatever, and we think about how like the unknown, like all of the forms like represent obviously different letters and stuff like that. I mean, maybe they have something sprinkled in with this. I don't know. Obviously, this can be a Zygarde focused game, because obviously X and Y, Xerneas and Yveltal were like X and Y, and then Zygarde was kind of like that third legendary that we all know about in like all these games, and was kind of like thrown aside. And then in like the Gen 7 games, it was kind of weird because then they had like the Zygarde cell thing that you could collect like along the main story. So it was like Pokemon Z elements like sprinkled into the Gen 7 games. It was really weird. But anyway, kind of come back around. Yeah, it is weird that we didn't get a Unova game, I guess, because all of the Unova content we've been getting recently, like the 2 DLCs of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, both take place in Unova. And normally in the main series games over the years, they will sprinkle hints and like mentions about the region that will be remade next. Like, Diamond and Pearl and Platinum have a bunch of like Johto hints in there, and obviously that generation got Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and stuff like that. So yeah, I was very surprised. I was blown away that not only is it not a Unova game, but it's a Kalos game. Like, what the hell? Because at the beginning of Scarlet and Violet, we always thought that Kalos was the region next to Paldea, and then it was like, okay, no, it's not really. We're going to Unova for the DLC. But it's definitely surprising. I don't know what they're going to do with the Gen 5 remake. I'm guessing they're going to give it to Ilka again, but maybe that's I was talking about this with my friend. Maybe the black and white remakes or whatever they're going to end up doing with it is going to be 2026, and then maybe Gen 7 in like 2027 or 2028, something like that. But it was surprising that they're making the jump for sure.
Yeah, it's very, very, very odd. But going back to what you said earlier, this game definitely is like a Zygarde focused game. Like you can even see in the logo, like it's his color, and you got the like scales and whatnot, or like the little hexagon things, which I'm pretty sure he has like on his body, right?
Yeah, it's a total hint for sure.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. I don't really care too much about like Kalos in general. I just never played the games, but I feel like it always looked like one of the more interesting regions.
First
like,
3D
I like
game,
the idea of,
so
like
on handheld.
It was cool. I mean, the main like city, the fact that there's like one massive city in the entire region, I think it's cool, and that's going to be leaned into even more in this. Something interesting is like clearly, okay, so Nintendo did tweet out that that your adventure in this game, I think the exact wording they used was, your adventure in Pokemon Legends Z-A will take place entirely within Lumiose City. Lots of people were like either mad at that or like, oh, what? We're not even getting a whole region. It's just a city. And then a lot of other people were like, there's no way. They were in like denial, even though Nintendo kind of outright tweeted it. They were like, oh, there's no way. This is like a weird translation or something. No, that's definitely the case. They wouldn't tweet that out if it wasn't the case. Like that tweet, like a tweet for a new game announcement, especially a new Pokemon game like this, gets looked over by countless people. They wouldn't make that mistake. But I don't think it's a bad thing at all if it's entirely focused within one city. I think maybe a smaller, more dense game world where it's not nearly as big, but there's just so much to do within the area you're at. Maybe this, it doesn't have to all be buildings. There could be parks in the city. Maybe you can go underground to the city and there's like a cave or something with like fire types or whatever. Like there's definitely ways to make this really cool, and if they're trying to continue to innovate like they did with Legends, then being able to kind of build up the city as you progress through the story and maybe do different quests or whatever, go out on like a safari type thing and get a bunch of Pokemon, bring them back to the city, like that's pretty cool. And it kind of reminds me of a different Game Freak game, not any Pokemon game, but it was codenamed Town, and then I think it ended up being called like Little Town Hero or something.
Right. Yep.
I think I remember seeing that in directs.
Yeah, it came out in like I believe around 2018, 2019, maybe 2020. Obviously on Switch, and I never played the game, and I don't really remember any reviews of it. But when the game was first pitched, it was like you build up this town. Like that's what I remembered from like the game's first trailer, seeing it in a direct. Is like you live in this town, you go around, you fight monsters and stuff, and you help the town like grow, and you start from like maybe a couple of shelters to a fully bustling civilization. And I think taking that into Pokemon is really cool. Like expanding that from, I don't think Town was full priced or anything like that, but expanding that like kind of smaller concept that Game Freak clearly is passionate about into a full mainline Pokemon game that's going to get played by millions and millions of people. I think that's really cool, because if that's what they end up doing, I mean, it clearly is. Like, even in the trailer, it says like urban redevelopment planned. Like, clearly you're going to be rebuilding the city. And it starts off, with sketches on like parchment paper, so it looks very kind of old-timey or even just like modern to the point of where the games were in X and Y, or where the city was in X and Y. And then it goes to this like Cybertron, like Tron looking neon like wireframe aesthetic, which makes me believe they're eventually going to lean into the future. Like we could get a futuristic Pokemon city.
That's what I think's cool. So interesting about Legends Z-A, because if you look back at Legends Arceus, it was rural, it was in the outdoors, it was very spread out, but it was also in the past. And then this one is urban, it's in the city and in the future, so they're almost opposites. Like, yeah, I wonder if there's gonna be like callbacks to Arceus or whatever, because of like this one's in the future and that one's in the past, if they'll be like connected in some way.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know, because like Arceus was like, it took place, I believe, thousands of years before Sinnoh was Sinnoh. It was called like Hisui or something, and there were like different versions of the same Pokemon that would end up being there, and like, you know, you could see the general layout was the same, but very vastly different. And this, from what we can see, it looks like there's potential it goes into the future, which I think is really cool too. It's just an interesting idea. I feel like if Legends is like their way to kind of experiment and, you know, take big swings without it affecting the main core Pokemon games, then so far, man, they're knocking it out of the park. I mean, between Legends Arceus and now the very little we know about this, like a Pokemon game that doesn't take place within a region, but just one city that you presumably build. It
lets them break outside of the original Pokemon mold of the 8 gyms in one region or whatever. It lets them experiment, which I think is really cool, and will probably get the team excited to make games again, make well-made games.
It also kind of expands like the story ideas, because they're kind of like limited back on the DS and stuff like that in those older gens. So it's cool to kind of go in depth, because like X and Y kind of has like a big story about this dude with like, the ultimate weapon and like this big war arc and stuff like that, obviously the 3DS doesn't really have the capacity to show off. So if this is set in the past, and I think we're all a little skeptical of whether it's going to be like a time travel thing, if it's going to be just in the past, just in the future, because, like you were saying, Thomas, the Tron kind of wireframe cinematic we're looking at here, it's a little confusing, because, you see kind of like that past aesthetic, like, on the screen when it says, development, Lumio City and stuff like that. But when you look at the map, it's kind of like futuristic, but I don't know. We'll see. It'll be great. It'll be great, because, obviously I think the XY story is definitely like unfinished a little bit. So closing off with this is pretty cool, but man.
Yeah, it's going to be neat. I don't know much about Pokemon at all, PJ, but isn't the like name of the character who had the like great weapon or whatever AZ?
Yeah, and that's like the reverse title. So
yeah.
That's it's definitely a reference as well. People are speculating if he's actually going to be in the game or not, and I wonder if he has something to do with Zygarde or something like that, or if like the ultimate weapon will appear in this. Like, it's all really interesting. I'm excited to hear more about it, because it's one of the more interesting stories in the Pokemon franchise. What, Mac? I feel like you just
had a brain
massive...
blast.
Yeah.
Okay. So Z we know stands for Zygarde, right?
Sure.
What does A stand for?
You just say Arceus?
Arceus.
Maybe.
And then the next game, it's going to be a new letter, then Z, then A, and they're just going to keep adding letters to the beginning.
And that's why the dash is there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Maybe. We'll see in 2025.
We got time.
Well, let's speak on that for a minute. 2025. So no Pokemon game this year. Which, yes. Hey, fair enough. I'm not against this at all. Unfortunately, there's nothing else this year, so that kind of puts a damper on things. But hey, if they're not going to put any other actual games besides Princess Peach Showtime and a bunch of remasters out on Switch, why not save Pokemon too? Give it a little bit more development time. But speaking of putting games on Switch, this game will release on Switch. There's no way it doesn't. It's a Pokemon game. Yep. They want it to be available to the highest possible, demographic. It's not going to be a Switch 2 exclusive. But 2025, exactly. I would assume that this game is either coming out like, because Legends Arceus came out January of 2022 or 2021. Okay, so January of 2021, or Legends Arceus comes out in January. This Legends game is clearly not. It's not making this holiday because it's 2025. I doubt they would announce it a full 2 years pretty much before, so it's not making 2025's holiday. Do you think this comes out in January and, Switch 2 is not even out yet? Like, Switch 2 comes out maybe March of 2025? Because that's what the rumor is. Switch 2 is coming out March of 2025 now. So, I mean, we can debate whether that's valid all day, but that's just at least what people are saying. Like, do you guys think this could be the last big, like, Switch game, quote unquote? Which I know people have said
100%,
we've said that for Tears of the Kingdom, and then we said it for Mario Wonder, but it, like...
And then I said it for like... Princess Peach, and then I'm saying it for Pokemon, so...
I'm not sure how big Princess Peach is, but...
Oh, it's going to change the Switch. Are you kidding me? Come on now. It's Game of the Year quality. Anyway.
High quality game. Maybe that should be one of the punishments for, like, our trivia. Someone has to buy and complete Princess Peach third time.
That's actually really good.
That would be really good.
Oh, yeah. I totally forgot about that.
We'll do that for a future endeavor. But
yeah,
I don't know. Like, my logic, like my gut feeling is that this game is going to launch on Switch, and not have Switch 2 like anything. Because if you think about it, it's definitely not launching exclusively on Switch 2, because that would just kind of be a little dumb. There's so many people who have Switch, so many kids who have Switch who buy Pokemon games. Like, they're not going to do that. And they also said it's coming to Nintendo Switch. But the weird scenario is, do they do, like, if this game releases, like, within the month of the Switch 2 coming out, or after the Switch 2, if the Switch 2 comes out this year, do they then put out, like, a Switch 2 version that's graphically enhanced? I don't necessarily think they do, although they would definitely sell a lot more units. But I think Nintendo is going to be somewhat careful of the games that they, put, like, do, like, a, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Plus, where it has better graphics, or Tears of the Kingdom Plus, where it runs at, like, 60 FPS and all that, and looks way better, and put it on Switch 2. I don't think Nintendo will do that with a Pokemon game, because it's not like the again, we haven't seen a screenshot of this game, but it's not like the graphics from Pokemon games are necessarily what you want to be selling your new, powerful, more graphically capable console on. But hey, maybe man, that's just
maybe that's what they needed. Maybe that's what they needed, dude. You never know.
Who knows?
Like,
who knows?
We don't know the specs.
You think it's
suddenly
gonna be the most beautiful game to ever exist?
Well, I'm not gonna go that far, but I think it has a chance of being, like, pretty damn good. I don't know, because if we're gonna take, like, a big jump with the specs of, like, the Switch 2, I mean, obviously you'd hope that the team is gonna take advantage of it. I mean, I just wish that, like, Scarlet and Violet released on something like the Switch 2, because it's so ambitious, and it had so many, like, graphical issues and bugs and stuff like that.
Well, that's why I'm so hesitant to think it will. Is like, Scarlet and Violet was so bad on Switch, but it's not like that's necessarily the Switch's fault. Like, Tears of the Kingdom is also on Switch, or, like, there are so many other games, like even Endless Ocean. Like, obviously, there's not as much going on in that game, so it's not like it needs to be.
I know that was kind of a joke, but I hear you. Like the joke in our call the other day.
That was funny. We were joking about how Endless Ocean, like, mops Pokemon games visually, and
makes
Pokemon
like a PS1 game.
Brutal. But, like, Game Freak hasn't really taken advantage of the Switch's power. So I'm not entirely confident or convinced they will with the Switch 2. But it remains to be seen. There's really no point in speculating on that. This is just a side note I just noticed. Sorry, PJ.
No, you're good.
Dash, I don't know if I'm bugging. The dash in the logo for Z-A looks kind of like a stretched out version of the Mega Evolution symbol. Am I bugging, or is that just, like, kind of a little bit, like, stretched out horizontally?
I can see what you're going for.
I can also see it a little bit.
Purposeful.
I don't think it is. That was just a.
I think if they didn't show this at the end, like the Mega Evolution symbol, I think I would so be on that train. But I see where you're coming from. Yeah.
But they've already revealed it, so it's like, okay, they're in the game, and then they're teasing that they're in the game. Like, all right, buddy, that's not.
We could also get into that in a minute, but the exciting thing, kind of about I just completely brain farted. The exciting thing about, like, the Legends Zygarde game and stuff like that is, like, the new megas. Like, what if they bring new megas to the game? Because there's so many different Pokemon that people wanted for so long that to, like, be turned into megas. And then, there's like this whole speculation about, oh my god, are they going to bring back like all of the gimmicks in Gen 10? And maybe this is like, the slow restart into it to kind of help it make sense. Like, I don't know.
Wait, people think that?
Yeah, some people think because like Gen 10 is like Gen 10. I know. People are definitely like setting themselves up for disappointment, but like, dude, because I feel like they're kind of listening, like Game Freak is kind of listening at the same time, because it's like people have said like Megas are the best gimmick. They've wanted it back ever since they've left in Gen 7, stuff like that. So they are kind of listening, bringing them back. So I wouldn't quite write it off them, putting them in like some of the newer games now, because they're hinting at the Megas logo. If they're going to be in the game, like, why would you not put in new ones? Because there's a lot of Pokemon, such as, like Flygon and a bunch of others. We could spend a whole episode, or at least I could, on a bunch of different Pokemon that I would want as, like, new Megas and stuff like that. Yeah. But that also opens a new chapter of speculation and stuff like that. So that could be really cool as well.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't know too much about Mega Evolutions. I just know I clicked the button on the bottom of my 3DS.
And they look,
what about
and they look sick, yeah.
This is Pokemon Z-A, and I am the resident Pokemon Sun and Moon expert. Yep. So what about Z-Moon moves? Any way they could come back?
I wouldn't write it off. I mean, I don't know.
It's more likely, in my opinion, than Dynagigantamax or something.
Yeah, I think that's probably like the silliest mechanic they've ever put out, because it's like... It's like basically lazy Megas, because you just, big Pokemon, big. Big Pokemon, like, I don't know. Yeah. Just kind of silly. I remember what I was going to say, I think, about before I brain farted and had to like salvage the point. So the Legends games, or at least the Legends Arceus game, I didn't really think it was a huge like graphical issue or any sort of like frame rate issue, to be honest, when playing. Like, obviously it wasn't like perfect 60 FPS, like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever, but it's, looking at Scarlet and Violet, it's definitely better than that. So I don't think I'm too scared about the performance of this game and like how it's going to go, because obviously we've been seeing that this is going to be kind of like Lumio City focused on, which is very interesting as well. You wonder if it's going to be expanded to other towns, because the ultimate weapon that I was going to talk about earlier, which is involved in like that war story arc of Kalos, is actually in a city called Geosenge City. So maybe they'll dive into that as well. But in terms of performance, I don't really think I'm scared for like the Legends series, because they kind of killed it with Legends Arceus, to be honest. Like, there's a lot of like really nice cinematics in that game. The Giratina fight, all that stuff. Like, I think they did a really good job with what they had, and especially, again, looking at Scarlet and Violet, like, knocked it out of the park. So the Legends series particularly, I'm not very concerned about the frame rate and stuff, but obviously we shall see, because Mega Evolution is a whole new chapter once again on the Switch. So we shall wait and see, but I'm optimistic.
Yeah. I think after what we saw with Legends Arceus, I'm not too worried about this game, and the fact that it's getting a 2025 release, it makes me actually very excited for it.
Something I'm scared about, though, is that they'll be like, hey guys, so remember when we said we're not launching a Pokemon game in 2024, lol? Actually, we're doing the Black and White remakes by Ilka, and we're announcing it in June to be released in November.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, I don't know, man. I really hope not, but I think that's the only pathway that we get a Pokemon game this year, at least released like on the Switch. That's going to be kind of like quote unquote main series, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they'll like Game Freak isn't gonna have Game Freak isn't gonna have a another game that they're making, so it would be a contracted like Ilka game, and at that point, like, hey, if it comes out and sucks, so be it, because Game Freak's working on something else. So
yeah, I mean, BDSP was a little controversial. Maybe they will go away from the chibi style, and maybe that game will be different, but I don't know. Black and White obviously got a sequel, so I think maybe they're less concerned about expanding that story at the moment, because that's a good point. That's really covered. I mean, Black and White 2 take place 2 years after the originals, and that story is like totally closed.
So then it's time for the Sun and Moon remake, right?
Yeah, dude.
Well, they got
2030,
sequels, right?
Yeah,
they got Ultra Sun.
Were those full-on sequels?
Yeah, they were like deluxe versions, I'd say, right?
Okay.
No, I would. I mean, I would say so. I mean, they delved more into like the Ultra Beast story.
Yeah.
Also, they did the Necrozma thing and all that. Like, I think that's kind of closed off as well. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they'll get to it eventually. I mean, we look at their history; they will get to it. But
yeah,
I don't like Pokemon's not going anywhere, so they'll get around to all of them at some point.
Yeah.
The good thing is that they, at least like, it kind of makes sense that it's Kalos. Like, I know people wanted Gen 5 and wanted Gen 7, but X and Y were the only games that didn't get sequels in the form of like Black 2, White 2,
or a third version,
a third version, or like DLC, like Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet all got the expansion pass. So I think it's fair. I think it's fair they're remaking it. I feel for like Unova fans. Like, I don't really care about Unova, but if I like, I'm a huge Hoenn fan. If this was supposed to be like the Gen 3 remakes, and then they were like, oh, screw it, we're jumping to a different one, I would be
jumping
like,
to Sinnoh.
Yeah. But whatever. That's not my problem because doesn't really bother me either way. So,
I mean, I don't think like Unova fans are, like, in my opinion, just because like I like read Twitter and stuff like that, like, and obviously my own personal opinion, but like I don't think that Unova fans are really starving. I mean, they just got like a ton of content in Scarlet and Violet as well. So
what was the Unova content in Scarlet Violet?
The two DLCs take place in Unova.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then the 7th gym leader of, I forget if it's both games, but I know for a fact it's Black and White 2, Drayden, his son is like a big character in the second DLC. And he's part of that like Elite Four or whatever. So there's been like a ton of Unova content. They even like had a tie-in with one of the Gen 8 Pokemon, Duraludon, and they like gave him an evolution in the second DLC into Archaludon, and it's after like, I'm pretty sure it's called the Sky Arrow Bridge, I think. Like that's what like the Pokemon looks like. He literally like evolves into this bridge-looking dude, which is a bridge in Unova. So it's like a Gen 8 Pokemon evolving and then looking like a Gen 5 bridge. So, I mean, yeah.
We have reached peak Pokemon.
Yes, we have.
We are at peak Game Freak. No, I guess that makes sense.
I think Unova fans have been eating, dude. I mean, I think they're good to wait off. Yeah.
I guess that makes then complete sense why they skipped over to Gen 6. If they were like cooking for Gen 5 all of last year with both the DLCs, then yeah, sure. Makes sense. Yeah, I think I don't really know how much more there is to say just because we really don't have that much information. But I think the thing that has me the most excited about this game is like the one thing that I've actually seen people mad about, which is the fact that it's like supposedly all takes place in one city. I just think that's a cool concept, and it can allow for the game to be a lot higher quality because they're not having to make this huge region. They can just focus on like one somewhat smaller area and really flesh it out to be as fun as it possibly can be. It's like,
I agree.
It's like the difference between having like a massive Assassin's Creed map where there's like not too much to do and it's just kind of like copy and pasted stuff over and over again versus like a Mario Odyssey Kingdom where it's like nonstop fun, very small location. But I think it's a cool concept, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with it. I don't think. I guess here's the last thing we can say. When do you guys think we get any more information on this game? I high-key would not be surprised if we didn't get anything until like I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get anything in June. We probably will, because that's generally how Pokemon does it. But like I could see them waiting until September.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I actually kind of like September. And after this, I have another point that's unrelated. Go ahead, Mac.
No, of course.
We could not hear anything until next Pokemon Day.
You think?
If the game comes out in 2025 and they decide to give it like a summer or late year release,
they didn't give it a season or quarter. Yeah. It's totally possible.
I'd say it's more likely we hear something probably like September-ish, but
I mean it's feasibly possible. I feel like
at latest we'd hear something by
if that were the case. I feel like they would announce the other remakes today. They would announce like Ilko remakes for Unova.
Yeah,
because I feel like they'd want to have something to like talk about and get people hyped about this year. Like just so Pokemon doesn't like, not that it would completely fall out of the public consciousness, but you kind of always want to have people talking about your product and your franchise. So
Cool.
Yeah, maybe. Kind of weird. It's definitely weird because we've had a Pokemon game release like every year for like a very long time, every November. Like I can't even remember the last year that they didn't do that. Maybe 28. No, because 2018 was Let's Go. Yeah, I mean they've like released.
2016 was Sun and Moon.
Yeah, 2015, and that's like literally 9
almost
years ago.
Not almost 9 years ago. Yeah. Weird.
It is, but I like it though because they're taking more time. Last point that I will mention though is I was talking about earlier how X and Y kind of had like short development cycle, and then obviously they went to Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire literally the next year, as Thomas was talking about. I like how they are focusing a lot on Lumio City because obviously this is like the main city. Obviously, Eiffel Tower obviously in the middle of Lumio City, which is a gym in like the Gen 6 games and stuff like that. So, and they didn't really expand a lot on it, and it's like a really cool city because obviously you're like roller skating around because there's roller skates in that game. As the city, and it's not very expansive. Obviously, 3DS moment, but expanding on this city and kind of fully fleshing out its potential like on the Switch and Switch 2 as we're speculating, I think it could be really cool. I'm excited to see like what they do with it now that they have like the power to do so.
Yeah. I think it'll be massive just because like you said, they didn't have really the power to do that on the 3DS, and not that the Switch is like entirely more powerful, but it is more powerful than the 3DS. Yep. They'll be able to expand this into like what it's meant to resemble, which is Paris. Like Paris is very dense, it's very large. I think they'll do a good job making Lumio City massive and fun.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree.
Yeah, we're hyped. I am. But
I'll be
day one.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Okay, we can move on to this direct partner showcase, folks, if we want. Like, what was this?
Back.
You're back.
I had crazy like. Even my Wi-Fi doesn't want me to talk about this stupid ass partner showcase.
So like,
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I didn't watch it.
Wow.
Whoa. Oh, I watched it.
Yeah.
It was like, as far as partner showcases go, it was good. Like there were cool third-party announcements here. Epic Mickey was neat.
I thought this was like one of the best announcements. Like Epic Mickey on the Wii. Like I didn't play a lot of it, but I remember like my parents bought me it as a kid.
Scaring me. I'd go to GameStop and I'd see the box art and be like scared because like Mickey's usually like cute, and that Epic Mickey is not cute.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. If it was like maybe a little cheaper, maybe I'll wait till it's like very on sale, as I'm sure it will be almost immediately. I'll probably pick it up. I mean, it's kind of cool. I like the idea of it and stuff. And on the Switch, it's just easier to play than trying to find my Epic Mickey copy and putting it in my Wii U, digging that out as well. So yeah, I mean that was kind of cool as well. But overall, I think we should I think we should just talk about it a little bit. Like, it was just weird the fact that it was like a partner showcase and how this is just more and more and more giving kind of credence towards, all right, it's Switch 2 time. We're digging at the bottom of the barrel here. Like, I don't know.
They got nothing.
That's immediately what I thought.
That's the big news that comes out of this. Not that Switch 2's on the horizon, or they don't have anything. We're in the in between.
We're in the
area.
slums, bro.
Yeah,
we are in the slums. They have nothing. They have nothing. I was trying to think of a family-friendly way to say that, but I just came up with nothing. They have nothing. It's very, very odd to see. It's very, very odd to see because this seems like something Nintendo would have done before the Switch era, where they like run out of steam by the end of a console's life, don't really have anything to put out, and then we have a year's probably almost a year-long wait with minimal to no news and games, like some stuff to make people happy, but nothing big. Not like the games that like you're losing sleep over. You're so excited, like a Mario Odyssey or like a Tears of the Kingdom. It seems like this. Like, I just assumed they would have learned their lesson to not do this. But that's not the case. It's also even worse now because when this would happen, like, before, like, from the Wii U to the Switch, the 3DS was still a thing. Or, like, the Wii to the Wii U, the DS, like, the 3DS launched a little bit before that. and like stuff like that. Like because they always kind of had a handheld and a home console thing going on. It was never this bad. But we're gonna have a pretty like unless they come out of the woodwork with like Metroid Prime 4 is coming out on Switch and like I don't know, Kid Icarus Uprising port or like stuff like they can do a bunch of stuff, but like we're not getting any more big games on Switch. You could make the argument the Pokemon game's the last one. I don't know.
I think the issue is that the Switch's kind of like release cycle like across all of the years has been like a very filled with ports. Obviously, we've had like a lot of great games, but I think some of those games would have been like better released kind of later on. Like I don't know, you're seeing like a lot of these ports like late kind of thing. You know, Thousand Year Door, Mario RPG, stuff like that. And if we even like look earlier in things like that, I mean, maybe we get that Zelda pack that has been, you know, speculated. It seems every single year. You know, the Twilight Princess Wind Waker that, you know, we think technically should be coming out because it makes so much sense, but it just doesn't ever come out. So maybe we get something like that. But yeah, it's a little concerning, but I think it's just kind of telling that Switch 2 is coming. But I don't really like their release schedule and what they have kind of like slated for now. And I feel like that's huge copium thinking that Prime 4 is going to come out, because I feel like if it was, it would have already like 4 years ago or 3 years ago. But I'm definitely leaning towards that as like Switch 2 launch exclusive, but you never know.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
We need a new Fire Emblem. That's what we need. We need a new Fire
that's a good
Emblem.
point.
Honestly, I would take a Fire Emblem right now. I wouldn't play it, but just to have something releasing. I don't care. Like I was happy when Fire Emblem games were releasing, and I'm no longer happy. So I want all the Fire Emblem games. You know what? Throw in Triangle Strategy and Octopath Traveler 2. That I don't even care at this point. That's my thoughts.
We're dying over here.
There's just nothing. There's absolutely nothing. I don't know when they're gonna do anything, but we're in
Chronicles 4
the long haul. Yeah,
I'd be down.
Well, you know what? Actually, I know you're kind of joking, but Xenoblade Chronicles X is like the only notable game from the Wii U that hasn't really been ported yet. So maybe we can have that. Yeah, why not? I mean, I'm not gonna buy it. I'm not gonna care, but you know, it's something. Like I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, anything, just a crumb, just a drop, Nintendo, please. I guess one other thing about the showcase I can just talk about, Monkey Ball Banana Rumble, that could be really fun. If this is like a good Monkey Ball game, I haven't played any of the new Monkey Ball games. I haven't played the there's like Banana Blitz or something, or maybe it's called something else. I don't know. There was a Monkey Ball game on Switch that came out like a couple years ago. Never bought it, never played it. Apparently it like controlled a little weird. If this one is good, then hey man, that could be fun. Also, I love the idea of like a little battle royale, 16-player bunch of monkeys.
No, Monkey Ball looks really fun.
I love
a lot
Monkey
of videos
Ball.
from it. I haven't played it
fun.
before, but
it's frustrating. It's a good time though.
I
think Monkey Ball
games,
2 is my favorite.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Never played. I just think the little monkey dude is cute. What's his name? Like
II
or whatever.
II.
I watched that one video essay of where the guy, I forget who the YouTuber was, he was trying to find like the voice actor for Monkey Ball or whatever.
Oh,
you ever watch that?
Yeah. That was a good one. That was a while ago. I don't know. Monkey Ball, that could be cool. What else was there? There was World of Goo 2. It's on the screen. I really don't care about this. A lot of people are freaking out. This was a huge WiiWare game. I never played it, so I just don't have any connection to it. But that's cool. I'm happy for people. I was debating on getting the remastering of Battlefront 1 and 2. Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2. There's like a classic pack where they're adding in some extra heroes who I don't know if they were like console exclusives before or whatever, but now they're added in for everyone. I was thinking of getting that, but then I realized it's like 25 gigabytes. I'd just rather get it on Steam. So I really don't think anything from this direct like sold. Like I'm trying to think. I might be being dumb right now, but
no,
I don't think I'm getting any of these games on Switch. Like maybe I get the Star Wars one, but I wouldn't even get it on Switch. So
I mean, I'm kind of with you. Like, and this game it's interesting. Like Pentiment, that was one of the games that people were talking about during the the Xbox Snooze Fest. I mean, Xbox podcast that we covered a couple weeks ago. So that's kind of interesting. And I'm pretty sure the Direct just ended off with like some Switch Online stuff. Apparently there was like Rare fans mad about this for some reason. I don't know why. I saw something on Twitter about how like people are upset for some reason. I don't know. But they're calling this like the Rare Collection Pack, or it's some sort of thing like that. So that's nice, I guess. I don't know. It's just a whole lot of nothing.
Endless Ocean.
Yeah.
We gotta talk about that. You can scuba dive? Oh, sir. Yeah, this is big, guys. This is real big.
It's a big whale.
This is
for sure.
I think this will be the Switch's top seller for the year. Narrowly beating out Princess Peach Showtime and
I don't know if it
what
beats
else is there?
Peach
I don't know.
Showtime, dude. I think you're kind of underestimating like the power that game has.
Yeah, that one will probably sell 1 Peachillion units. This one will sell like, I don't know, how many fish are there on the planet? Like 7 trillion?
God,
This
I
will
want to say
sell that
trillions, but like I feel like that's stupid.
I think
accurate.
How
Trillions is a
many?
big
Wait,
number.
this is actually kind of funny. How many fish are on the planet? If we exclusively talk fish, not like plankton and like krill. Are krill fish? No.
I think so.
There's a krillion krill.
That's a good one. I'm gonna say, wait. Let's all try and guess how many fish are in the sea, and then we'll whoever's closest wins.
10 trillion.
10 trillion. Wow, trillion's a lot.
Yeah. I'm just random.
I mean, we're not even going to be able to get an accurate. Like we
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
say-
We don't even know most of the ocean.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna,
like what? Yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna say 5 billion.
I feel like
I'm
your
gonna
answer.
say, no. I'm gonna say 100 billion. It's way more than 5 billion. There's more fish than people.
Actually, yeah, you're so right. I'm so dumb.
Because like, I would say 100 billion.
Was I closest?
I
What
think.
was it?
1.5 trillion fish.
Ooh.
Well, technically, I'm closest, but you
Oh wait,
you
what'd
had
you
the
say?
T.
What'd you say?
I said 100 billion, so
Oh,
I'm like
okay.
3.4 trillion off.
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes sense.
Thomas wins.
3.5 trillion. Woohoo! Well, that's what
Yeah.
you get when there's on Nintendo tonight. When there's
Absolutely nothing.
the big direct ending game is Endless Ocean. So
Yeah.
actually, there's infinite fish in this ocean because it's endless. And it's luminous too.
I want to end
Yeah.
the episode so bad. I'm kidding.
I got nothing. I got nothing to
Do
say
we
on
want
that
to move
front.
on to fan questions?
Let's
we
rip
do.
over to
That people
fan
actually
questions.
care
we
about?
we
Yeah,
got
we do.
nothing
Yeah,
to talk
we do.
about on that sense because no one cares.
Anyway. Okay. So that was disappointing, but anyway. Hey, at least we talked about Pokemon for 35 minutes. I love that for me. Anyway.
Woohoo!
Yeah. First question here from Chris Tendo. Nice and simple question. How are you guys doing today? How are we doing, folks? Fellas?
I'm doing decent.
Yeah.
Today's been a good day.
I'm doing well. I wish I got more work done, but that's kind of every day. So
Yeah.
such is life.
Yeah,
There's always more work in the sea.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
Chris. I hope your day's doing well as well,
So true.
or going well, and everyone listening.
So
Have a
true.
great day.
Except for Tim.
Yeah, except for Tim. We know what you did.
Yeah.
Sorry,
know.
Tim's out there. I would just like if there's a Tim listening.
That would be kind of crazy. Imagine your name
Oh,
is
it
Tim and
probably
you
is.
just like, oh, what do
Yeah.
I do? Yeah.
Imagine your name is Tim and you actually just did something like pretty bad, and I'm like, I know what you've done, and then you have like a freak out.
Yeah. Jesus. All right. Next question here from Jacob Gameblock. How do you think Nintendo can improve Mario's moveset in the next 3D game after Odyssey's movement was, quote, so perfect? That's a good one.
How peculiar. I don't know. It's just gonna be whatever the gimmick is, right?
Yeah.
Like, if
You think they 3D world it if it's like an Odyssey 2? You think they 3D world it and add like a couple new like movement mechanics and just run with that?
yeah, I mean they could. Like, if they could just add new mechanics or like new cap abilities, like maybe you can throw it. I don't know. Maybe you have two hats and you can throw them both or something like that. I don't know. That they wouldn't do that, but like some sort of mechanic like that, or Sunshine had flood and that was the gimmick. Galaxy had the Luma and the spin jump and that was the gimmick. Like, I think the base movement options, like the side flip, the triple hop, the long jump, even the dive has become so useful. I feel like all those will probably stay, especially because like even the dive and the roll got added into 3D World on the Switch port of it. So I don't know. I think there's no way to know exactly what the gimmick is going to be, but I think they keep almost all of Odyssey's movement. Because like at that point, that's just kind of like Mario. Like when you're running around in Odyssey and you like flick the stick around a bunch of times and then he starts spinning, like that just feels good to do. It's like satisfying. So maybe they add in some small stuff like that. That's just like satisfying to the player, albeit probably not like a super interesting movement option that everyone is gonna do all the time. But I just think stuff like that, because they've already got, you said it yourself, Jacob. Odyssey's movement is so perfect that they'll just kind of like refine it rather than completely reinvent the wheel.
I agree with that. I think the only way they can improve it is by adding like a new gimmick like Cappy or Flood to change his move set in some way. But yeah.
Yep.
Agreed.
With you guys. All right. Question 3 from Zach207, who is Z ... for dramatic purposes,
well,
I guess.
Because Z-A or ZA or ZA.
Pokemon ZA.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Pokemon ZA, dude.
All right. If Super Mario Maker was never released and instead came out in 2024, but had 5 completely different game styles, there's Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, Mario Bros. U, 3D World, stuff like that. What 5 Mario games do you think would work best as game styles? Keep in mind the game is still a 2D game, so if you choose a 3D game as a game style, it would still play in 2D like 3D World did in Super Mario Maker 2.
That's a fun one. I like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've always thought Galaxy would be really good.
That's what I was gonna say. I think
the spin jump
yeah,
I mean, just the gravity mechanic.
Oh, yeah.
Because
like being able
to
have like yeah.
Yeah.
Like they even do that in Odyssey, with the 2D sections on Moon Kingdom, and in Galaxy there are little sections where it basically turns into 2D, and then like you jump high enough to like the pink section and gravity's reversed, or like your gravity's going to the wall. So I think Galaxy would be super cool. What else? I don't think I don't want to just say all the 3D Mario games, but like besides Wonder, like I think Wonder would be nice. But like I'm not gonna say Mario Land or any of that stuff. Like Yoshi's Island and all those games and Donkey Kong Country games don't really seem fair to say. Like I would probably just say Galaxy, Sunshine with Flood, Odyssey, Wonder. I don't know, maybe New Super Mario Bros. DS.
I'm trying to think if there's one outside of like platforming Mario. Is there one where they could like make a new game style that isn't based around a platforming Mario game? Because like there's Mario Kart, which you could have like
that's what you mean. Okay.
Mario Kart. Yeah.
What about like Mario vs. Donkey Kong?
Oh,
yeah, because they've had level editors in the past.
Yeah.
That
would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's 2D. They had level editors in the past. Like I think Tipping Stars hadn't had a level editor.
Mm-hmm.
That could work. I could see it working.
Yeah.
It would be weird. It like we're getting to the point where like it would never happen because they're not going to put like it's a completely different style of game, so they wouldn't put it in Mario Maker with like the same other levels. But yeah, I think that would be cool. Like it's just more puzzle focused. That's all it is.
Yeah. So we got 3: Galaxy, Wonder, Mario versus Donkey Kong.
I'm locking in Sunshine and Odyssey on my end at least. I think
I was just about to say
no-brainers.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, how do we think that Flood and
I think
Cappy
Flood
would work
in
on
2D would be really fun, honestly.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it could be really neat.
Yeah, you gotta like
and then
gauge the distance.
Yeah.
Like landed water refill.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
All
those
right.
are 5.
All right. Sounds good. I think this is the last one. This is, kind of a regular one. I'm sure we've answered this before, but, just for the record. From Lily, what are your biggest wishes for Nintendo's next console?
Ooh. Good question from Lily. Let's just narrow this down to one biggest wish from all of us. Do we want these? Okay. Do we want these wishes to be like each of our wishes? Are they like stuff that possibly will happen, but we just don't know, or are these like pie in the sky? Like I can make any wish in the world.
I think we could just do pie in the sky, right? Yeah,
I think so. So I think that's more interesting.
Why not? Yeah. Sure.
All right. Well, then I can go first. I have mine. I was going to say backwards compatibility, but if we're going pie in the sky, I made a concept trailer for a Nintendo Switch Pro back in 2020 where you could move the buttons. Like you could swap out the buttons on the Joy-Con, and that way you could like turn the Joy-Con, like crappy Joy-Con D-pad that doesn't even exist, into like an actual D-pad. Or you could swap out the ABXY button layout to like Joy-Con or to GameCube controller button layout and stuff like that. And then maybe even specific games, like one game might work better with a touchpad, so you get to swap in like a really small touchpad or something, or like stuff like that. I think that's just a cool idea. It kind of leans into the Switch style of like play your way, play where you want, and now play how you want with like what type of controller you want, while all still being pretty portable. And it would just be cool if that were the case, because then it's like, I predicted that like 3-4 years ago. So yeah.
That's fun. I'd say, I think I brought this up on the Choose Your Own Adventure. I think cellular would be neat. I'm not sure how many people would pay for it, but I feel like there's a lot of games that like if you're out and about, you'd want like cellular service if there's not Wi-Fi around, and I think that'd be pretty neat. I'm not sure the cost would outweigh the reward of cellular, but I think it'd just be a neat idea for the next console.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I think I'm gonna go with like the dock. Make the dock practical. Like, don't just make it like this piece of plastic that is like useless kind of, and just, doesn't have everything that we need. Obviously, the OLED dock has, I think it has an Ethernet port in it now. But obviously I have a 2017 Switch, so I needed to buy like an Ethernet adapter. But just make the dock like make more sense, more practical for pretty much everybody, and that would be nice. So yeah. Also, Joy-Cons, please, Nintendo. Whether it's like you release a Joy-Con 2 or something with the next console, please make them better. That's all.
Yeah. Fair enough. I agree with all that. Cool. Was that the last question, Peter?
It was. Yes, it was.
All right. Well, in that case, thank you guys all for watching or listening. Hopefully you're able to listen to this. If you are and you're an audio listener, sorry for the past episodes being like half uploaded or something. We've just been dealing with weird technical problems that we've never had before. So it's kind of odd, like weird to try and troubleshoot them. But hopefully we've got that all figured out. Sorry for the inconvenience. And yeah, thank you guys for listening to episode 59. Whoa, almost at the big 6-0.
Almost at the big 6-0. It's crazy.
What is Mac going to do for the big episode 60?
I'm going to get naked.
Cut it. All right, thank you guys for watching.
Patreon episode, folks. All right, see you in episode 60. Hopefully Mac has his clothes on. Adios.